Hey everyone, CT here. On several of my YouTube videos, people have asked what character and build I use to farm all that currency I use to fund my high-end Moto items on my Moto builds. The answer is quite simple. I chose Fire Whirlwind Rehan. Let's go ahead and take a look at the damage potential of this build. As you can say quickly, I'm over 100 million DPS. Let's go ahead and take a look at the skills. So the first skill I'm using is Whirlwind with channel preparation, raging slash, critical strike damage, guard, and bloodthirsty slaughter. Note this build does take 100% physical to fire conversion. It is a T1 roll on gloves, which can be extremely frustrating to get at times. You can choose to opt out of that, and you can change bloodthirsty slaughter to physical to fire. For my main healing skill, I've chosen Life Source with Residues, Berserk for more damage, and Armor Infusion for more survivability. For my main mobility skill, I've chosen Leap Attack with Quick Mobility, Periodic Burst, Blinding for a more defensive route, and Elemental Fusion. Now, note, I am at 515 energy. If you don't have that much, you can ignore the Elemental Fusion and you'll be just fine. For my next skill, I've chosen Bull's Rage with Death Will, Soul Focus, and Extended Duration. Note there is a ring called Frozen Flame that will give you Bull's Rage. You can use that. It's quite expensive. I decided to go the crafted ring route, but if you get rid of Bull's Rage, you could run something like Reform for more barrier and more survivability. For my next skill, I've used Bloodthirst with Mania, Bloodbath, Mass Effect, and Cost Conversion. For my first aura setup, I've gone with Charge Flame, Flame Imbue, and Acuteness Imbue. For my next skill, I've chosen Steadfast with Seal Conversion, Rejuvenation, and Swiftness. For my final aura setup, I've gone with a Cast on Crit setup with Scorch, Fixate, Seal Conversion, and Abysmal Hatred. Next, we'll move into the talents. I've gone with God of Might, Warlord, and Ranger. First, with God of Might, I've gone with Burnout because I have Execute on my weapons. And then I've gone with Fueling. And these are the God of Might talent choices. Next, on Warlord, I've gone with Rock for 2 more Tenacity Blessings, and I've gone with Focused Blow. Now, these are the Warlord talents, and you'll notice within here, I've taken the skill area talents, and that's for more map clear. Even though I'm generally boss rushing, if I hit more mobs as I go through, it's a potential for more currency gain. Now on Ranger, I've gone with Fluke for the Fervor rating, and I've gone with Impending. And here are the Ranger talent choices. If you look at the end, I did not pick up the Fervor nodes, and that's because I have Fervor on my gloves. If you're struggling to get Fervor on your gloves, you can always pick up these talents as an alternative. Next, we'll go into our hero traits. I have chosen Anger, Frenzy Furious, Rampaging, Boiling Anger, and Reverberation. And down here we have Hardened and Mark. Next, we'll move over to our packs. I am a free-to-play player on Battle Pass. So because this is a farming build, I chose drop pets, whatever drop pets I had. Just make sure you grab this elemental resistance node. Next up is our gear. So note that all my gear is T1 rolls. You do not need T1 rolls. T2 rolls are relatively easy to get and a good alternative to what I'm using. On our helm, we have gone with max life, physical damage, and all the resistances I needed. On our chest, again, max life, physical damage, and all the resistances I needed. For my amulet, the big thing that you need is 1 channeled energy. So we're trying to get to our 5 stacks of channeled energy. And then I chose max life, melee damage, physical added to attack, erosion resist, and strength. For my gloves, again, here is my fire conversion and my fervor. And besides that, I've picked max life, physical attack damage, strength, and strength. For my belt, the big thing you need here is the quick ritual to get to your 5th stack of channeled energy. And then these stats don't matter. Choose what you want. I shopped around until I found something when everything goes into my build. For my boots, we went with max life. This right here, the 10% of physical damage added as fire damage is a huge damage gain. My resistances I needed and strength. On my ring, we went with melee damage, attack damage, maximum life, strength, and fire resist. For my End of Confusion ring, I know some people pick the triple blessing ring with the focus blessing. I thought the 16% double damage was unneeded. So I went with the melee damage per tenacity stack because, as you remember, I am now at 7 stacks of tenacity. So that's 70% extra melee damage. We're getting our tenacity stacks from taking damage, which we're always taking damage because of Bloodthirsty Slaughter. And then obviously our agility blessings for our movement and attack speed. So our offhand, a Scarlet Axe is not needed. They're quite expensive as a base. You can go ahead and run a Conflicts Axe and be just fine. There's also debate in the Rehan community on what is actually good for an offhand. I've gone with the stat stick option. So I have chosen elemental damage, physical damage per strength, strength. Again, this is a restless roll. You don't need it. I was trying to get a higher execute, which this one unfortunately only rolled 6%. You can choose something else, and then critical strike damage. For my main hand, it's all physical damage. So physical damage on gear, physical damage per strength. This is an ominous roll, this physical gear damage. You can roll a normal physical gear damage and be just fine. Strength, gear attack speed, and here again, this is a restless roll that you can roll just a normal gear attack critical strike rating if you so choose. I was again trying to get a higher execute. Now we'll move into the stats. So as you can see, we're about 2 million sheet DPS, which doesn't mean a lot, but it's a ton of damage. We're at almost 7,000 life, and our resistances are capped. So I'll go ahead and start scrolling through these just so you guys can see all the stats. Move on to the next page. As you can see here, we have a fair amount of armor, 43% mitigation. And as you can see here, I'm way over on resistance caps. I could remove a resist from my helm and a resist from my chest and roll more strength, which I would do, but they're expensive to re-roll. Not that they're all six stat pieces. Next, we'll move into a map. I'll show you guys how the build's working. We're going to go ahead and run Obscure Plaza because that's typically what I'm doing on my boss rush videos. So the objective is to rush to the boss and get enough for 1v before we get to the end. As you can see, in a matter of seconds, we're at the boss. We hit V. We don't have a special boss. We leave. And I will make another video on this, but I wanted to just, a couple people have asked for my card setup that I am currently running. These are the cards that I'm currently running for this farm build. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all the support. I did want to get a couple shout outs to Mike One Up, who has a great budget whirlwind video, and Milky as well, who has a great beginner whirlwind video and has a great crafting guide on how to craft those axes. I will definitely put those down in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day.